Hey there, and welcome. Ever feel like you're just drowning in data chaos? Inconsistent entries, missing info, reports that just don't make any sense? Well, today, we're going to tame that chaos. We are diving deep into the world of data validation. And trust me, it's the secret weapon you need for building powerful, reliable databases.
Everything, and I mean everything, we're about to talk about really just boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. This is the golden rule of data. It doesn't matter if you're building a simple contact list or some super complex AI model. The results you get out are only ever going to be as good as the data you put in. You got it? Garbage in, garbage out. Think about it like you're a chef, right? You can have the most amazing recipe, the fanciest kitchen on the planet, but if you start with rotten ingredients, you're going to get a disgusting meal. It's the exact same principle with data. We've got to make sure we're starting with the best possible ingredients right from the get-go.
So let's really dig into this garbage in problem. What actually happens when that bad data slips through the cracks and infects your system? Well, the consequences can be a lot bigger than you might think.
It's like a domino effect. It all starts with incorrect analysis. That leads to biased, skewed outputs, and a ton of wasted time trying to figure out what went wrong. And where does all that lead? To poor decisions based on information that was flawed from the very beginning. That's why getting the input right is just so absolutely crucial.
All right, enough with the doom and gloom. Let's talk about solutions. We're going to set up some data guardrails. Just think of these as your first line of defense. They're simple, but they are incredibly powerful tools that stop bad data dead in its tracks before it ever gets a foot in the door.
So the official term for these guardrails is data validation. At its core, it's just a set of rules you apply to your data fields. Now, a program like Access already does some of this for you, right? It's not going to let you type text into a number field, for example. But we can supercharge this by adding our own custom rules to make it way, way smarter.
So here's your basic toolkit to get started. First, required fields. This just makes sure users can't skip over important stuff. Then you've got default values, which save a ton of time by pre-filling common info, like maybe the current date. And then, the real powerhouse, validation rules, which let you get super specific about what kind of data is even allowed in a field.
And this is a 1-2 punch that works beautifully. On the left, you've got the rule itself. The value has to be greater than 1,000. Simple enough. But the real magic is on the right. When a user breaks that rule, they don't just get a generic error. They get your custom message, telling them exactly what they did wrong and how to fix it. You're not just blocking bad data. You're actually guiding the user. It's brilliant.
So that brings us to our next big idea. See, it's not just about stopping errors. It's about proactively guiding your users to enter good, clean, consistent data from the very start. We want to make it easy for them to do the right thing.
Ugh, look at this. This is a classic data headache, isn't it? Every entry on the left is technically the same phone number, but they're all typed in a slightly different way. Now, for a human, no big deal, but for a database that's trying to sort or search, it's a total nightmare. What we really want is that beautiful, perfectly consistent format you see on the right. So how do we get there? The answer is something called an input mask. An input mask is basically a template or a stencil for your data. For a phone number, it provides the parentheses and the dash for you, so the user literally just has to type in the numbers. It makes getting inconsistent formatting almost impossible. And here's another one you've probably seen a million times. We've got 3 different users all trying to enter one piece of information, the state of California, but we end up with 3 different entries. Now, if you try to run a report to find all your customers in CA, you're going to completely miss the other 2. This is exactly where data starts to become unreliable.
And the solution for this is so simple and elegant. It's a lookup field. Instead of letting people type whatever they feel like, you just give them a predefined drop-down list to choose from. This totally eliminates typos and variations, and it guarantees that every single entry for that field is perfectly uniform and consistent.
Okay, so we've put in the work. We've set up our guardrails. We've guided our users. Our data is now clean, consistent, and reliable. Now for the fun part, the payoff. It is time to start asking our data some questions and getting some real, meaningful answers back. This is where something called a parameter query becomes your absolute best friend. Think about it. Instead of building a separate query for every single question, a query for cats, another one for dogs, another one for birds, you build one super flexible query that just prompts the user for what they want to look for each time it's run. It's reusable, it's efficient, and it is so powerful.
And would you look at how easy this is to set up? All you do is put your prompt, your question, inside square brackets, right in the criteria field of your query. That's it. That's all you do. Now, when you run that query, a little box is going to pop up with that exact text, asking the user for their input. You've just turned a static query into a dynamic conversation.
Okay, for our final section, let's take things a step further. We've cleaned up our data, we've learned how to ask it questions. Now, let's unlock some really deep insights by using functions to, well, basically teach our data how to think for itself.
Functions are really just pre-built tools that perform very specific jobs on your data. They let you do things like automatically run calculations, reformat text on the fly, or even pull out tiny specific pieces of information from something like a date. This is how you really make the jump from just storing data to truly analyzing it.
Take a function like if, that's immediate if. This lets your database actually make decisions. It's just simple if, then else logic. As you can see here, first it runs a test. It asks a question. If the answer is true, it does one thing. If the answer is false, it does something else. This is absolutely perfect for automatically sorting and categorizing your data on the fly.
Or look at the date part function. This thing is like a Swiss Army knife for dates. You can give it any date and then just tell it exactly what piece you want to pull out. Want to analyze your sales by month? Just use M. Need to figure out which day of the week is your busiest? Use W. It lets you unlock dozens of different answers from a single date field. It's incredible.
So from stopping that garbage in at the door to teaching our data how to think, we've seen that a really well-built database is so much more than just a storage container. It's a goldmine of powerful insights. And that really just leaves us with one last thought. Your data is always trying to tell you something. The real question is, are you building the systems that will let you listen?